This is my video blog for codes and conventions. Codes are systems of signs which create meaning, and conventions are recognised ways of doing things. Together, they create what we expect to see in a certain genre of media text. For example, in an action film, you expect to see fire. Typically, short films will only have 2 to 3 main characters, or even only one. This is so that they don't have to create complex backgrounds for all of the characters. For example, in Nuit Blanc, they only had 2 main characters which the story was based around. Usually short films are limited to 2 to 3 locations, or again only one, and this is to cut costs down as well as keep it simple. And in 3x3 there was only 2 main locations used, which was a basketball court and a security guard's office. So the duration of short films is usually 5 to 10 minutes, and this is again to help with the budget as costs need to be kept low. But this can be altered slightly. It can be shorter than 5 minutes, and it can be longer than 10 minutes. For example, in Michael Jackson's Ghosts short film, that was nearly half an hour. The premise that short films are usually only based around an everyday situation which everyone can relate to, and this is then flipped on its head. For example, in Runaway, it was based on an everyday situation of a kitchen, and then it was flipped on its head when the fridge ran away, and then it turned out that the owner wasn't trying to get rid of the fridge after all. The storylines are usually simple to follow and based over a short period of time, and dialogue is very limited, and there's a focus on imagery for developing characters rather than talking about it. For example, in Paper Memories, there was no dialogue whatsoever. It was based around somebody walking with their old photographs, and he simply looked at the photographs, and then the image in the photograph moved, and the story is based around that. The narrative structure often follows Todorov's theory of narrative, which is the classical realist narrative. This starts with the equilibrium, so everything's in balance and normal. And then the disequilibrium happens, so a rupture occurs, so everything is flipped on its head and you don't really know what's going on. And then the new equilibrium is when everything's resolved and it's all back to how it was, but there's a noticeable change. There's also always nearly a twist, which is a moment that in the narrative that surprises or shocks the audience. This tries to keep the viewer interested, as short stories are usually quite short and you need to be able to keep the viewer interested throughout the whole thing. An example of this would be in Samari, where the twist would be when the 2 books collide into each other, so the drawings are together and the man and woman actually meet and they have a little date together. And also in Rosa, when it's all in balance and she's walking around in what seems to be her own world, the twist, which is also the disequilibrium, is when other people are there who turn out to be quite evil and they end up fighting her. And then, last but not least, the budget. Generally, there's a low budget due to the independent nature of short films, and this is also linked to location and everything else that requires a lot less budget than what a feature film would be. An example would be the Forest animatic, which is based purely on sketchy drawings which probably didn't cost too much, opposed to proper animated made on computers, and all it was a story of a bunny rabbit's journey through the forest, and it was all done through drawings which looks like it would be. Thank you for watching my video blog on codes and conventions.